By far the most asked question on my channel. Why did you use your pet when we have Lone Wolf? It makes you do more damage! And in this video, we're going on a journey that will at least give us a better understanding on why monstership hunters may use their pets. With that being said, let's get into it. If you're new to the channel, we talk MM all day and every day. So if you like that, then subscribe. Also, give the video a like if you enjoyed it, as it's one of the best ways to support the channel. Before we get into it, I want to specify that this video is for monstership hunters which does not have access to exotic pets. Anything related to exotic pets will not be talked about in this video. Okay, so what causes this question? There are two main reasons that cause people to ask this, and basically, one, people are looking for a different spec to play other than Warrior, Rogue, or DH that does not utilize a pet in their toolkit. And secondly, once they realize that monstership hunters get a damage buff when they don't have their pet out, then boom, it begs the question. Let's look at what we gain with both the Lone Wolf buff and having our pet out. Now note for Lone Wolf that the way Lone Wolf works is our pets have to be alive and not by our side for us to gain the Lone Wolf buff. If the pet dies, we will not gain this buff. If the pet is dead and we move far enough for the pet's body to disappear, we will not gain this buff. So if you do not have Lone Wolf activated, then it means your pet is dead and you have to revive it and then dismiss it. Also, it takes Lone Wolf a full 20 seconds for it to get its maximum potential. With Lone Wolf, we gain a 10% damage increase to all our damage. If nothing else is in play, our openers are often more deadly. And while our pets scale with our stats, it doesn't gain the bonuses of True Shot, for example. Our AoE potential is maximized. Our pets don't have AoE damage, and 10% is 10%. We gain a damage reduction ability which replaces your pet's active ability. 20% damage reduction isn't game breaking, but when used correctly can make a difference. It's also one of our few defenses that we have. With Lone Wolf, we don't have to deal with pet AI, because even with micromanaging, there are times of unexplained occurrences that will happen. Alright, let's move on and look at the benefits that pets provide while they are by our side. Now note for pets in BFA, they provide two different types of utility that are governed by their specialization and from which pet family they belong to. With our pets, we gain a multitude of utility. This extra utility may often be the difference between a win and a loss. So for pet specialization utility, ferocity pets grant you a passive leech and access to bloodlust or heroism. Now cunning pets, they grant you a movement speed increase and master's call, which is a 4-second immunity to slows and roots. Tenacity pets grant you survival of the fittest and 5% extra HP for you and your pet. On top of these specializations, you have to take into account what family your pet is part of. And while there are lots of families and pet variants, there are only 6 ability types that are shared among some families. So the pet abilities are a healing debuff that decreases healing received, a single target slow, an increase to dodge for your pet, an active damage mitigation for your pet, a triggered damage mitigation, and a dispel, which dispels magic and enrages. Note that this won't be relevant in Shadowlands since hunters are getting tranquilizing shot back baseline. In Shadowlands, pet dispel abilities were replaced with a self-purge. Now that we recognize the utility the pets provide, let's look at examples that pets can be used in. So for PvE, if you're learning and progressing on a single target boss fight, then having a ferocity pet out may help you live longer and provide almost the same amount of DPS because of pet uptime. When trying to solo hard content, ferocity pets give you the extra healing to survive. If your group does not have lust or hero, then you can call out your ferocity pet for when you need that extra haste. If you're leveling or questing, having a pet that can live longer may be very beneficial. Usually it's a ferocity pet with a defensive. Now, one thing to note is this is a trend that kind of sucks, because they try to say that they wanted to get away from what is the best tanking pet and what is this and what is that, but it turns out that in BFA, because of those changes, ferocity is just taking over a lot of things in the game. But I'll make a separate video about that. Alright, now examples for PvP and using pets. If you're facing a player that will always slow you down or root you in place, then having a cunning pet will minimize this problem and allow you to do more damage rather than using defensives. If you're facing a player that heals, then you might be better off with a mortal wounds pet to lower their healing by 25%. If you're facing a player that can stealth, then keeping them in combat with your pet may prove useful. If you're facing a target that loves to hug the pillar, then doing damage with your pet when your character cannot may prove useful. And having a pet out in PvP also allows you to talent into a crit immunity and damage reduction with Roar Sacrifice. Now that we looked at the benefits, the only real downside to it all is being stuck to what you choose and not having access to most of these when you need them, which is 100% okay. In PvP and in PvE, there are abilities and perks that will always work better than others, and being able to choose what to run with brings meaning to your choice because of the impact they have. Though I feel like ferocity takes a huge slice of what pet you want to choose in BFA. Okay, now this still leaves us with the question, what is better, Lone Wolf or pets? And after everything we just talked about, the answer to this question is simple. Use what you need. And I'm gonna go a little off script here, but at the very least, your pet is one global away from having its benefits. So you can start off anything when it comes to PvE, when it comes to dungeons, when it comes to world PvP, when it comes to battlegrounds. Your pet is one global away from being called out. That's it. Now the only exception to this is arenas, because in arenas, if you call out a pet, that pet is the only pet you'll be able to use for the rest of that one arena. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's very important. You're not allowed to switch for whatever reason. All right, that's really the answer here. Every situation has something that provides more impact at any given time. So if you need more damage and nothing else, go Lone Wolf. If you're having a hard time kiting somebody, use a cunning pet. If you have a hard time surviving, use a ferocity pet. If there is an instance where something needs a dispel, use your dispel pet. If your group doesn't have lust or bloodlust, bring your ferocity pet out. I don't recommend tenacity, as tenacity doesn't really bring something that is useful. The 5% HP is too lackluster, and we already have access to survival of the fittest when it comes to using Lone Wolf. Very often in my battleground videos, you will see me not have my pet out, and then when I need it, you'll see me call it out and use it, and then sometime after, you'll see me dismissing the pet. So just use it when you need it, when you think is important, because they do bring a lot of utility and a lot of value, which, like I said, can be the difference between a win and a loss. Okay, so for those of you who stayed this long, I want to give you guys bonus info that actually alleviates the Lone Wolf versus pet conundrum. With the Shadowlands changes to Binding Shot and Tranquilizing Shot, making them baseline to the Marksmanship Hunter's toolkit, we have more room to play without a pet. Now everything we've already talked about still applies, but being that we will be able to root an enemy while also simultaneously be able to dispel in Shadowlands baseline, overall it gives MM more self-sustainability versus BFA's MM Hunter. Okay guys, this marks the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this and learned a thing or two. If you have any tips or info I forgot to mention, definitely leave them in the comments. If you liked the video, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike with the reason in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe so that you get updates on more content. Share the video if you want others to see it. With that being said, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.